Hey you guys, so I am sorry I have to be out unexpectedly, but I wanted you to be able to go ahead and finish your lesson. So we're going to look at the skills practice on graphing linear and absolute value inequalities. Okay, so here's the deal. When you're graphing a linear inequality, it is exactly like graphing a linear equation with one exception. So we're going to skip number 1, but go to number 2 really quick. If we were going to graph this equation as a line, so we would go where to our y-intercept is 2, right? And then our slope is 1, so we would go up 1 over 1, right? Or down 1, left 1, and then we would graph that line. Now, if you're doing an inequality, you do have to pay attention to this sign. If there's a solid line under that, meaning it is a equal to, then your line will be a solid line. If that was not a or equal to, it would be a dotted line, okay? Then the only thing that's different is that you're going to shade one side of your line. You're going to shade it based on what the sign says. So this says y is less than this line, okay? Y is less than this line. So that means everywhere that is underneath the line, everywhere y is less than the line, you would shade, okay? Now, if we're going to graph this guy, we need to put him in slope-intercept form first. So we're going to subtract x from both sides, right? So we have y is less than or equal to negative 1x or negative x plus 4. So our y-intercept here is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Our slope is negative 1. We know our line needs to be going down. So down 1, left 1, or up 1, right 1. This is an or equal to also, so it's going to be a solid line. And then we look at how we're graphing. How we're shading. So y is less than this. So I like to go to where my y-intercept is. And where anything under that y-intercept, that's where we shade, right? So if we look at this one, we need to put it in slope-intercept form first. So we are, well, it actually is already in slope-intercept form. If you need to rearrange this where y is on this side so that makes more sense to you, you can do that. Just make sure you keep your sign pointed the right direction, like so. So our y-intercept here is 3. 1, 2, 3. Our slope is up 1 over 1 or down 1, left 1. Now this is going to be a dotted line because there's not an or equal to symbol. So we're going to draw a dotted line. Because of the line cannot be part of the solution. It says y is greater than this line. So I go to my y-intercept, and anything above that line, greater than that line, gets shaded. Okay? So that's how you do the linears. All right? Now let's talk about if it's an absolute value. So we literally have one absolute value on this. So down here on the absolute value. So this is y is greater than the absolute value of x. Now you could make a t-chart, and remember you can do a t-chart on your calculator by putting that equation in, right? So you could put your equation in and use your calculator to make a t-chart. So you're going to graph this exactly like you would any absolute value. So if x is 1, y is 1. If x is 0, y is 0. If x is negative 1, y is still 1 because the absolute value of negative 1 is still 1. Right? So it's going to get us this shape. It's going to look like this. Because that's not an or equal to, it's going to be a dotted line, right? Dotted line. And now we look at the shading. This says that y is greater than my graph. So I'm going to go to my y-intercept. Greater than my graph is going to be above it, and I shade above it like this. So it works exactly like graphing a regular linear equation, exactly like graphing a regular absolute value equation. You just have to, if you have a greater than or a less than with no or equal to, then that's going to be a dotted line. If you have a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, that's going to be a solid line. And then you choose which side you shade based on whether the equation should be greater than, you shade above, less than, you shade below. Okay, you guys, you got this. I know you do. I'll see y'all tomorrow.